Now here's a crowdfunding site for investors and entrepreneurs, and especially startups looking for funding. Now this is a pretty special site. It's called WeFunder.com, and it's fairly new. And actually, the people who started this site was really involved in getting Obama to include investing in the Jobs Act. Now this change in the Jobs Act for investing is going to be a big thing. It's starting now, and it's going to be for more people to use the internet to invest in any kind of company. It started already, but the big stuff hasn't started until like January. So now to invest on the internet, you have to be a registered investor. And their website does this. And a registered investor means you have to have an income, at least like $200,000, or you have assets, not including your home, of $1 million. So that's a fat cat, sort of. But it's not the 1% yet. It's a little below that. But starting in January or so, it's going to be almost for anybody. So you could go on, you're making, 50 grand or something like that, or even less, and go on and be eligible to invest in startups and companies, the next Google or whatever it is, and you won't have to be going to country clubs to find these opportunities. So this is one of those sites. So now they take money to invest in the startups on the sites, but that you have to be registered. And the companies that are there are really cool companies. They're doing fun stuff. I mean, one company has a new a way of making divorce cheaper and kid-friendly. Right, I mean, these are important issues they seem to be working on this site, and looking for funding for them. So if you have an important issue or an idea you think is important for society, this may be a good site for you. They're funding a lot of research that the government doesn't want to do for some reason, because the government can't do anything. So they're putting it on their site and finding investors to invest in this kind of research. Or they have another thing they just funded was a cheaper way for companies to get company benefits to their employees, and things like this. So I would take a look at this. It may be for you, it may be not. There's 2 levels to get your business on this site for investors or funding. And one is a pretty low bar. It's a little easy to get on. And the other one, where they highlight real special cases, is a higher bar. And this is really for people already involved in the startup industry. And there's a lot of professional societies that work with startups and things like that. And so it's really for that. So one of those levels ought to be for you and to check it out. So this is a site where you can get money for your business, or a site if you want to be an investor and invest in hot, new, interesting startups that are doing interesting things in life. So watch this interview. Michael Norman, this is an incredible thing you're doing. Man, I am, up front, I am so envious that you're hanging around people that have these projects on your site. Man, they are just things that I wish I could talk about. I wish I could be involved in. So how do people get involved in these projects that you're looking for investors for?
So if you are an accredited investor, you can come to WeFunder right now, sign up, go through an accreditation process, and then see these great startups that we have on there that are solving really important problems. Make investment right away.
I mean, it's not just like losing your wallet or something like that. Man, I mean, you're solving, like that Weavorce, is that how you say it?
Yeah.
Man, that's an incredible. I've been through 2 divorces. My wife's listening to me. I said 3 by accident. So, and that's and this is fun. Being in Washington and next to NIH that has all this grant funding, and you're crowdfunding for science research that nobody else will fund, and they just sound like great projects, man. Or the food thing. I'm not sure what's Goldbelly about.
So we can't actually talk.
Oh, okay. Okay. So you have to go on the site and find out. But these things, affordable benefit plans. I mean, or the app, a cheap way to get an app on your phone. Man, if you're a small business or something, I mean, that's right up everybody's alley, because everybody knows that the world is passing you by if you don't get your stuff on the phone. And you found a group that's looking for money to make small businesses do that, and that's terrific. So what's involved in getting credited or getting on your site to maybe participate?
So we actually got involved in this by helping pass a law that will allow anyone to invest in startups.
Oh, that's right. You're a lobbyist too. I forgot.
it's really important that anyone have the opportunity to invest in a lot of these companies, which we really think, not only have the chance to be huge financial successes like Facebook or Twitter or any of these other companies, but they're also solving real problems.
Yeah.
We believe that innovation is really driven by entrepreneurs and entrepreneurship, and that everyone in the country should have an opportunity to invest and help, those companies see the light of day and help them really tackle the issues that we all need to solve as a society. So, to getting that law passed, being in the White House when the president signed it into law was the first step in building WeFunder. Now, the law kind of comes into effect in a few different stages. So right now, you have to be an accredited investor in order to invest through WeFunder, which means you have either $200,000 a year in income or $1 million in assets, minus the value of your primary residence. So that is kind of the way that we're funding companies right now. And hopefully at the beginning of next year, that opportunity is going to open up to everyone in the country to enable them to start investing on.
So right now you're at least below the 1%. Yeah, that could have, before that, like to get into Facebook or all these when they went public, you had to be probably one of the 1%, to get into that stuff, right?
That's right.
And then by next year, you could be in the 99% practically and get into a deal through your play. And so you're getting this stuff out of the smoke-filled rooms. It was so funny that you learned how to be a fat cat by lobbying Congress, but you had no experience. And you just went and did a petition, and they paid attention to you. And you didn't even have an office on K Street. How did that work?
I think it was one of those situations where the timing was right. They knew they wanted to get this bill done, but they didn't have a lot of experience with entrepreneurship or with the internet. And then when we were able to show credibility by galvanizing this entire startup community to say, look, there are certain things that we need in this legislation for it to work, we became the voice that they were willing to listen to. And so it's one of those stories of democracy that you hear about in the abstract, but doesn't often happen in reality. So
it's Jimmy Stewart on the floor of the Senate. Huh? You're too young to even know who Jimmy Stewart is, right? It was an old movie, and he did a filibuster in a movie. Anyway, and changed the world. But that's terrific. So you learned the system to use it. You're not professional lobbyists, but you were able to do that, to do something for the rest of small investors, small companies, and really for the nation, right? Because if we don't create new stuff to get out of the mess we're in, nothing's going to happen for us. How about being accepted on the site? What's the process for that?
There's
a business.
Yeah, there's two levels. One for the kind of self-service platform where anyone can really come up and build a profile. There's a pretty low level of due diligence that we do to make sure it's a legitimate business, that the idea is real, to make sure that we're protecting our investors from any kind of fraudulent claims or anything like that. The other side, which is our startup of the week process, is actually extremely highly curated. So we really look for companies that are coming out of accelerators that have business models that we know something about, that we're very interested in, products that we like the way that they work. Investors sometimes that we respect that have already invested. So those are kind of the two levels of filter that you'll have to go through to get onto WeFunder.
So the first level is a low bar for people to get in. The second one is a higher bar. You jump. So if you've been around being an entrepreneur for a while and been involved, I guess, in entrepreneur activities, you may be more eligible for that one. But more people could get in the first level, right? Mm-hmm. Great. Well, wonderful. Well, thank you so much for sharing. You guys are going to do well. And even if not, man, you're going to educate people about what's going on. And if it screws up, you go back and change the legislation for something that really does work. You know how to do that now. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Take care.